right, that'll be us. How you doing, brother?
Good, good. How you been? Been a while.
Been a week. Feels like a week since I've seen you. How you doing? I'm Mike, and this is.
And I'm Ron.
And as we always say, believe it or not, we are brothers. Welcome to Are You Shitting Me? TMI, the podcast. And tonight we're just going to continue on with last week's theme, the topic, and that is, oh Lord, I'm failing us, brother.
How are we still alive? Or why are we still alive? Part two. Part two.
It's not showing.
So
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
It's just slow, like me.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
Amen
not
to
in
that.
everything. All right. So last week we talked about a number of things. We talked about the coasters we made that we went down the hill in Debonair, and of course the Ducksters seem to have garnered a lot of attention. What do you got on your plate this week?
Well, you know, Mike, I'm going to take that segue into the Ducksters because I had one more to tell I wanted to say for today because it's kind of a long family secret. Of course, myself, I kept the secret. For those of you who don't remember, we're talking about the three-wheelers that Mike and his buddy Steve had purchased, and we took full advantage of that at the house because they kept them at the house. And Mike had told a story how one day they came to pick him up, and Steve's like, "Hey Mikey, why is my handlebar bent? Looks kind of funny." So let me tell you, and Steve, if you're listening or you happen to hop on or watch later, here is the reason why your handlebars were bent. So me and a buddy of mine, Derek had a little YZ80, little rocket, and so we go out riding, and he's like, "Hey man, I like to ride the three-wheeler. You can ride my dirt bike." I'm like, "All right, cool." So we're out in the place that we normally ride, and we're riding back in, which is there's streets, so you're riding on the streets. And mind you, again, those of you that have never been on a three-wheeler, they are death traps, basically.
Oh yeah, very much so.
And they had these big tires that were like big balloons. So anyway, we're blowing down this street, paved street, and all of a sudden I hear, and I look back, and the back of this Duckster is doing this. And all of a sudden I see Derek get launched off the bike.
Oh
and
no!
The bike does about 3 or 4 flips, and ergo, now you know how you're.
There it is. After all these years, the truth finally comes out. The truth will set you free, my friend.
I feel like a great weight lifted off of me.
Hell, I mean, it's probably this. Welcome to Evening Confessional. Oh, God,
that could be dangerous.
Yeah. That may have to be one sometime. We'll have an evening confessional and see who we can sucker into what. Well, gosh, that was interesting. So finally, we know the story of the bent handlebar.
Yeah, sorry, Steve.
I can tell you, Steve was actually pissed about that one.
He doesn't know where I live.
There's a funny end, and I don't want to. We shouldn't do it yet.
No.
There's actually a funny end to the story of the Ducksters, and it's almost fitting in a way.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Listen, if you're hopping on, make sure you let us know you're there. And Ron and I certainly, we hope if you like what you see, what you hear, that you'll tell a friend about it. We'd like for this to pick up some steam and make it a little bigger and better as we move along. Again, we're continuing with the theme of, why are we still alive? Shit we did when we were younger that probably should have killed us, and yet here we are. So I have one. We haven't had a good Kenny Hall story in about 2 hours
minutes.
And I'm kinder than you are, but this one, as you and I were talking before we went live, this one popped in my head. And when we were a wee bit younger, Kenny was at times scientific, almost fearlessly so. And so we're in his backyard. You'll find a lot of stuff happen in the Hall's backyard because we couldn't get away with it in ours.
No.
So So Kenny has they're like soda cans, and he's got them taped together. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and he's making a cannon. I said, "Well, what the heck?" And he says, "Well, I'm making a cannon. I've figured out a way to make a cannon that you can launch a tennis ball with lighter fluid." And I thought, "Oh, this sounds exciting. Anytime you can, involve lighter fluid cannon and tennis ball, I'm in." So he he tapes this thing together, and it's kind of long, and I can't remember. Somehow he made a little hole or something at the bottom and squeezed in like the old, how you would get the lighter fluid that you can put the
Zippo lighter fluid.
Yeah, so he was squirting the shit out of this stuff in the bottom of, and he sticks a tennis ball down in there and goes to light that thing. Yeah, tennis ball. Well, I don't even know if the damn tennis ball came out because the damn thing blew up.
They survived.
It blowed up, and it blowed up good. And so, that again is just one of those moments I think of when I go back and I think,
you're all like this. Okay.
Are they all still there? Man. But anyway, you have to have a good Kenny Hall story. We haven't had one for a bit, so I wanted to make sure I got one in.
Well, speaking of those cats, the Halls, and we can even bring in the Rogers, the cousins, Matt, Dave, and Roger, and and Mike and I, before we got online, we're talking about again, dumb shit. And I remember as a kid having dirt clod fights. How many of you guys remember having dirt clod fights when you were a kid? And this wasn't like some soft dirt you throw back. No, these were rock hard, damn near cement type dirt clods. And I remember a couple of times getting pegged. There's Matt. Speaking of Matt, I remember sometimes getting pegged with those things. I remember one time being in Matt Rogers, I think, in the face with one, and it was horrible, man. So I think about that now. I'm like, I could imagine. I have grandkids. My oldest granddaughter's 13. So I can imagine when my kids were that age, them doing that. I'd be like, "What are you, fucking stupid?"
Well, that's the whole reason why when we thought about this, we came.
Did you not learn anything from my mistakes? Don't throw rocks at each other.
Are you shitting me? What are you guys doing?
You shitting me? What are you, stupid? But yeah, I mean, it was between the dirt clod fights and the BB guns. And we had the old Crossman pump master shit, and oh my god, it was horrible. And I was probably 12, 11, maybe like that. And that's it reminds me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. When do I get my gun? Well, not till you're 12, son. You see, Matt? The only reason I know what dirt tastes like. Matt recalls the dirt clod fights. I guarantee it, man.
Well, and some of the best ones we had was when we lived on Nadine, because they were still, I believe that area is called Southborough. And
I think so.
So when we were growing up, or coming up, if you will, the house we had on Nadine, there were no other houses out there. It was us and like 3 other houses. And the ones that were being built, well, we told you before, there was these giant mounds of dirt because they had to dig out the foundation, that kind of stuff. And so that was our playground. And so that's whenever the cousins were over, us the 3 cousins, we'd all get in the yard and start heaving dirt clods at each other.
Just throwing shit at each other.
And that's how couldn't think of anything else to do. Don't you guys have any toys? Yeah, but it's not as fun or dangerous as this. And but here's one, and I know you'll remember. I bet Matt remembers. Roger might. So we're out there having a dirt clod fight, and I was in the house that ended up being built next door to us. It was a 2-level house. And so, you can still get in there. There's no outside. There was no siding. It's just framing.
Yeah, just frame.
And
yeah.
so you can get up there and sort of hide out. Well, I was standing up there. I was, had me a little pile of dirt clods that I carried up there.
Sniper.
And so I had, yeah, exactly. I was sniping. But every once in a while, I'd hear this.
Oh, I remember this story.
What the fuck was that? And so I'd be throwing dirt clods, and almost got Matt, dude. That's cool. woof, and every once in a while you go hear it go by your head. And I thought, good God, one of those guys has an arm. No, it's Dad. And he's got a wrist rocket. And I mean to tell you what, if one of those would have hit us,
oh, it would have knocked you out.
We're dead. I'm
Easily.
missing an eye. I'm toting a physical memory from that
Chipping a
point
tooth.
now. And but Dad just thought it was funny as hell. He was down there. Oh no, I knew what I was doing.
What he meant to say was, I'd never
admit
admit to doing that.
Really, dude? I mean, you're standing over in another yard, and you're claiming that you're that good that you can just whiz them by my head. Oh God, it just.
Oh,
yeah, you
great.
talk about if one of those suckers would have hit you.
That's some serious damage right there.
Because like Ron said earlier, these weren't soft, hit you and dissipate dirt clods. These were hit you, leave a mark, you cry for a little bit, then you wipe it off, and you wear it like a badge.
And then after that, it was revenge.
Oh man, you get if I got hit with a dirt clod, somebody is going down. Except for clearly the old man, and I swear I don't how he didn't kill one of us. To this day, I have no earthly clue. So dirt clod fights. Loved them, but are you shitting? Nobody throws stuff at each other anymore. What happened to the good old days? Let's go out and throw some shit at each other.
Hell, nobody goes outside anymore. It's all about being on their computers and laptops and phones, and
I have to tell you, that's why there's some young kids live about 2 blocks east of us here, and it's wonderful. They're outside playing. They got a basketball court. I've thought about pulling up one day and just playing basketball with them.
And then you're like, wait, I might slip a disc or blow out a knee.
Yes. They're going to be like little future business people. Okay, sir, but will you sign this form? Not hold us accountable if we hurt you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So on that same note, talking about kids, and Mike had made mention a couple episodes ago about our social media was where the bikes were, whose house the bikes were parked in front of. That's how we knew where all the cool stuff was going on. And I was talking to Mike earlier, and like I remember as a kid too, that we rode our bikes everywhere. I mean, I'd ride that thing for miles. And I know some of you younger folks will find this hard to believe. I didn't wear a helmet. I didn't have reflectors. I didn't have a flashing light anywhere on my bike. I just got on that damn thing and went. Now, mind you, back in the day, we're talking about Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we grew up. So it wasn't a huge city. Like I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, I wouldn't advise doing that here now. You're going to get ran over somewhere. But yeah, we were gone all day long, man. People had no idea where we were.
We were out in the fields, jumping crap, probably throwing stuff at each other, but we were still out riding. This is going to come up a little later with another one, but the church that was built on the other side of Oro Blanco, where we lived, they built a church there. And while it was being built, they were putting in the electrical box. And once they put the cover on the electric box, it made almost a perfect ramp that you can start if it hit, kind of come down on it. Then you hit the little short top of that electrical box, and then you can fly off into the parking lot of the church. And so I don't know who was with me, but yeah, we were kind of daring each other to try it the first time, and I did. And it didn't work out very well. I hit, and I flipped, rolled, and again, it's like the Duckster. I think that bike kicked me a few times.
Yeah, right. That buck bronc. What'd you say? That bronc bucked me.
Yeah, that was Steve. Hey, Mikey, that bronc threw me. The electrical box. We tried a few times until we finally figured out it's probably just not doable. We're still alive. Let's just keep, let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. We could take off on bikes, be gone all day. And literally drive it across town. We can ride across town. Yeah. And but Ron's right. And look, I know it's different times, and that's kind of the purpose of this podcast. But I'm going to call. Are you shitting me? It's like, seriously, are you shitting me? You have to put all that stuff on to ride over to the convenience store 2 blocks away.
Yep.
Dude, live a little.
Yep.
Just get on the bike and go. But in a larger market like, say, Las Vegas, I kind of understand. But it does bring to mind. I got me a little list going here, but from that perspective, though, and I think it does fall in line a little bit with what we're talking about. We're getting ready to we're coming up on Halloween, and so again, while Ronnie was speaking, I just wrote this one down. When we were kids, and I know Ronnie did it, we all did it. We didn't have plastic pumpkins, trunk or treats or whatever. We got a pillowcase and we took off by ourselves.
Yep.
And there was never any concern, or there was no adult. We just took off, man. We didn't even, mom and dad had no earthly clue where we were. I'm out there trying to generate, a sugar rush that'll last me for about 2 or 3 weeks. And so that's what we did. We went trick-or-treating, and I mean, to tell you, there was times when I would walk half a Village 7 and come home with that pillowcase, and that pillowcase weighed a ton.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, so that's kind of an are you shit me? Can you do that today? No way.
No.
I mean, we don't even get trick-or-treaters here anymore. I don't. I bet it's been 3 or 4 years or more since I've had the doorbell rung.
We where we live at, we bought this house about 7 years ago. We literally moved about 5 blocks. Hey, Rich Wilson, how you doing, brother? We literally moved about 5 blocks. Okay.
Right.
The house that we moved out of, when we first moved in, the neighbors tried to warn us about how many kids come trick-or-treating there. And I'm like, what are you going to get? 20, 30 kids. I stopped counting at 400.
Wow.
Yeah. They literally shut down. It's the one street that comes through, and there's a bunch of cul-de-sacs on the off that street. And they would close off like 2 of those cul-de-sacs, and they'd have like hay rides. They'd have like 2 or 3 houses hooked together to make a big haunted house. They had cables going back and forth across, their houses with ghosts and stuff hanging off. I mean, it's nuts. Moved 5 blocks over, had 6 kids last year.
Yeah.
We are no longer on the cool street.
Well, and like I said, I couldn't tell you the last time we had a trick-or-treater here. It's been years, literally years. So yeah, we didn't have trunk or treats or anything of that nature. We grabbed a pillowcase, Jack, and if you didn't come home with that thing at least half full, you're weak. In fact, I think Dad would have shoved me back out the door. Go out there, try again, kid. You're not
out there. Don't come back with at least half a bag full.
Make sure you ask for some damn Baby Ruths or something. I don't even know what they like. While you're out, give me some Benson and Hedges.
So I remember we were talking one time, Mike, about how some of this stuff very much has to do with geographically. Hold on, see what Rich has to say here. We would go out to trick or treat by ourselves, safety and the concern. When we got home, Mom made sure there wasn't razor blades in the races. Amen. But
we didn't worry too much about razor blades because if somebody put an apple in my pillowcase,
you broke my cookie, you big ox.
Someone's getting hurt.
So we talked about being geographically, and where we grew up, and including Rich, it snowed. So Colorado, we always joked we had 2 seasons. We had winter and July. So it would snow so bad, and we grew up in a bi-level home, and so it was like we had the basement and the main story. I remember, and Mike, I'm sure you do, and Rich and everybody else, Matt, the snow would drift so high up the side of the house, we would literally get up on the roof and jump into these snowbanks. And I'm talking, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but we're talking 10, 15, if not 20 feet in some cases.
Oh no, you're talking 20 to 25 feet.
Yeah. So very easily, you have no idea what the hell's down there. You have no idea if you can get out, if you can dig your way out once you get into it. And worst case scenario, if it had sprinkled a little the night before and froze over, you may be jumping onto an ice pack.
Could be. Well, there
So
was a year, and I want to say it was probably 70, God, 77 ish, somewhere in that ballpark. But it did exactly as you just described. It drifted us on both sides. We were actually at the, if you lived above a certain point on Debonair, because Debonair was a big semicircle, it drifted on both sides, so we couldn't get out.
yeah,
And we realized pretty quickly that it was all the way up because that's where the fireplace was. If we can get on the roof, and the drift was high enough, you could literally, the way we looked at it is, you could probably, if you took like one of those saucers or something,
yeah,
you can probably slide all the way over to the Lash's front door.
oh yeah.
That's what we were looking at. And so no, I remember those. I remember drifts being that big. There was, I think some of the men in the neighborhood that year finally got together and thought, no one's going to come save us. Let's get our shovels out and start digging this. So they did. We were able to dig out a path where people can finally get out for a little bit. So that was, I don't know. I guess that could have killed us.
Oh,
We could have
please.
fallen down to the bottom, but nobody's going to come looking for me. Where's Mike? Who knows?
I don't know.
They won't find me until spring or July.
He's probably out on the Duxter somewhere.
Well, if all right, I think this might qualify for. Well, this is going to be my not too. This is going to qualify as my gosh. I hope the statute of limitations is.
For you, those of you guys who don't get it, Mike and I, before we get online, we literally go back and forth about stuff because sometimes we're worried about whether we can tell the story or not.
Do I really want to bring this up? Because I'm not sure if I can still be arrested for this.
So go ahead. What do you got?
Well, this one's going to be, I'm calling it Lawnmower Man. And I want to say it was probably either David Oler or possibly Kling. No, I don't think it was Kling. It was either Klingbeil or Oler. And in the house that Ronnie was just describing, where my room was, is that was my window was kind of my door. So they would come to my window. It had one of those, what do you call that? Like
the well.
Yeah, the window well. You jump down in it, and so the guys would tap on my window. I'd open up, climb out, and I'm out of there. And so we decided to go out. And it was just a night of, look, we weren't violent. We didn't do anything. No, well,
just doing shenanigans.
We were out doing shenanigans. And this was a foggy night. And at the bottom of the hill, if you turn right on Sleepy Hollow, on just around the corner from where the Brunings lived, a guy had just mowed his yard. And he had about 3 or 4 bags of grass out in by his garage. And so we go walking by. We happen to also notice the sunroof in his car was open.
Oh, stop it.
So bags of grass, open sunroof. And, that didn't take a genius to figure that one out.
Damn opportunist, you.
So, yeah. So we were, so we did. We took about 2 bags of that grass and dumped it in there and start, walk off, kind of laughing. When we get down to almost where the cutoff is, where you go to the Penrose Elementary.
Yeah.
And there's a street light there. And as we're walking, it's getting foggier and foggier. And I hear this, "You kids think you're funny, don't you?" and I look, and I don't know if it was David. It was David Oler as who it was. I said, "Man, did you just say something?" He says, "No." So we walked a little bit further, and you hear this. I said, "You guys think you're funny, don't you?" We turn around and look. I shit you not. Underneath the streetlight with the fog,
come on,
is a shadowy figure, sort of walking like this towards us. I'm going, yeah, I'm out of here, dude. We didn't even say anything. We hit the greenway and we both split up. And so I take off running up the greenway that you end up at the top part of like Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. So you went right.
And I went right, and David went somewhere else. And I end up coming back through the Hall's backyard, get to our house, hop down in my room, and I'm scared. I thought, oh, dude, if this guy knows where we live, not only is he going to kill me, Dad's going to kill me for what I just did.
Yep.
And it must have been about an hour or so later, I hear this on my window.
Oh, shit.
And I'm afraid to go look, man. Well, it's David Oler. Now, David's wearing this white jacket. His daddy was an insurance man. And so he's wearing this white insurance jacket. and there's blood pouring out of his mouth, his nose, and all over his white jacket.
Oh,
And I'm going, oh, sweet God. So I let him in, and I said, dude, shh, my parents' room is like right up here, man. They can hear everything. So we actually get him in the bathroom and cleaned him up as best we can. I think we stuffed toilet paper up his nose, and I sent him off. I said, you got to get out of here, man. Well, what did I said, did that guy get you? And he kept trying to tell me what happened. And I thought he said something about a crowbar.
oh shit!
And I thought, oh God, good thing your dad's an insurance dude. Because, but no, what he was trying to tell me is he hit the top of the fence trying to jump through a backyard. And the top part of he got it with his face, and that's what caused him to bleed like that. So anyway, yeah,
So that's the story of Mike, where I don't have to outrun the bad guy. I just have to outrun you.
I only had to outrun David, man, or I just had to get away from him.
You see what Matt said here? Matt Rogers, our cousin, says Rich busted his nose one time jumping off the roof with a fourplex on Scenic Circle. Now, Scenic Circle. Now, Mike, you weren't there, but yeah, that's like a whole plethora of stories right there. Watch this. I'll say one thing, and I guarantee you, both Rich and Matt, definitely Matt, will know what I'm talking about. Drive-by water balloons. So let's see which one responds to that.
That sounds deadly.
Oh, well, when the guy shows up at your door, yeah. or should I say, guys, I was adopted in this neighborhood, Ken. That's Kenny Hall. What's up, Ken?
Oh. Kenny. Oh, you're like this one. So I'm glad you remember Oler, man. Speaking of adopted, I think he was, but yeah, David and I got into some bad stuff. Yeah, probably should have killed us. And now the stories with David, yeah, there might actually be a couple of statute of limitations there. And so I really don't
some stories with Ken. There's probably some statutes of limitations there.
Well, yeah, but Ken doesn't care. Ken's at that point where fuck it.
He just claims I don't remember.
Tell the story. Anyway,
so Matt says that was you and Rich. So Matt knows what I'm talking about. So I'll tell this story real quick because it's funny. Yeah. So
oh God.
Yeah. So Rich and I are if you understand the fourplex, Rich and his family lived upstairs on this side. Matt and Aunt Linda lived on this side, and Mom and I lived on this side. Anyway, so we're up on the patio and we have a bunch of water balloons, and it's close enough, maybe 30, maybe 70 feet to the street. And we used to get these the mini water balloons, and we would just chuck them at the cars as they drive by. Well, I heard the story though. Well, one of them, I'll go ahead and blame myself. One of them went through an open window in the car as it drove by. Boom. And we're all laughing. And so we go running back in the house, shut the door. Yeah. Lady was on her way to church and raised the hell on us before she went.
Oh no.
Oh, God. Yeah. It was not one of my finer moments. Let's put it that way.
Well, at least it was just water balloons.
Yeah.
It could have been a hell of a lot worse. Let's see what Kenny's got. Ken cares,
but not about that. Okay, Yoda.
All right, how are we doing on time? Oh man, what a quick half hour tonight was.
That was a quick half hour. Let's go a little bit longer here. Let's
we
I have one more story to tell. And most of you have never heard this story come out of my mouth, except maybe one of the guys watching who works for me, Brian. So I have this friend of mine, Martin Fitzpatrick, and when we were kids, we always talk about, for those of you that don't know Colorado, we talk about Powers Boulevard a lot, because when we were kids, there was nothing out there. It was just all vacant land. And
that was the east side of town.
What we used to do is we would drop off like 5 or 6 of our friends out in the old abandoned farmhouse, and they had a big wheat grain thing out there, and we dropped them off out there with like a bunch of fake guns and knives and stuff. And then we go pick up some of the younger, dumber kids, and we'd be like, hey man, there's this place out of Powers where a bunch of bums live, man. It's pretty crazy. We should go check it out, And so we drive them all out there, and Marty and I would go out and be like, oh my God, there's one. Oh my God. And these guys would come chasing after us and shit. And, we'd go get in the car and take off. But one time, this is what's the old saying? And then shit got real. So we go taking off and we're missing one of the guys that was in the car with us. We're like, well, where the hell did he go? We drive all the way back to Village 7. This kid ran all the way from Powers Boulevard back to Village 7. That's how scared he was. Yeah.
Wow. And no, that's the one you're missing.
Yeah, that was the one we were missing. So yeah, after that one we stopped doing it. So it was fun while it lasted. And then we got Matt here says Rich and I threw snowballs at cars from there. Okay, I don't feel so bad now with the water balloon.
Well, I don't know. Water balloon, snowball. I think I'd rather if I were driving by, I think I'd rather a snowball come into the car than a water balloon.
I don't know, man. Imagine the impact of that thing.
I don't know. There you go. There's this evening's poll question.
What's the prize, Mike?
Which would you rather have?
Well, and tonight's winner will receive.
Tell them what they'll get, Ron. So anyway, what else did I have? I had riding bikes, no safety gear. We kind of already covered that one.
I thought you had one more for the Duckster.
I do have.
So this is let me set this up.
Go ahead.
So, the last 2 episodes we've talked a lot about these Ducksters because they're evil things. Causes a lot of pain, a lot of grief. Cause Mike and Steve a lot of money.
Well, this one here. This is actually going to coincide with where you're going, but go ahead.
Okay, cost Mike and Steve a lot of money, and we everybody else is using them probably a lot more than they did. So these things had a fitting end, and that being said, Mike, tell us what they've
All right, real quick. So before I get to the fitting end, there's one kind of a funny story involving the Ducksters and involving Powers Boulevard. So where Steve and I would go riding. This particular day was hot, and Steve and Carolyn and I went out to where we were riding on the east side of Powers Boulevard, and I was only wearing, I think, a pair of shorts and a pair of tennis shoes. So yeah, let that one sink in, ladies. And as we're riding, there's a El Paso County Sheriff's officer pulls up onto this patch of land we're on. And he is asking about the Ducksters, and finally he says, well, you guys do realize this is private property. And well, no, we didn't know that. Everybody comes out here to ride. And it's okay. So he asks for our IDs. We give them. He goes to his car and just kind of waves to me and says, hey, Michael, can I talk to you for a second? I said, sure. So I walk over there. Steve and Carolyn are still over by the Ducksters. And without any further delay, the deputy says there's a warrant out for your arrest. Please turn around.
They caught the tater
and proceeds to cuff me. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And so now I'm looking at Carolyn and Steve, and they're looking at me like, is this a joke? Is how do you plan this? And I'm going, no, I'm not planning this. So he puts me in the backseat of the car, goes over and talks to Carolyn and Steve, and I think he gives Steve his ID back. Comes to his car and starts driving away. And he drove right in front of Steve and Carolyn, and they're just waiting. And so on the way down there, I'm talking to this guy, and my hands are behind my back. And I said, so what's it for? And he says, I don't know. All I know is there's a warrant out for your arrest. So they gets me downtown. They book me into the El Paso County Jail, and they put me in a holding cell with other criminals, right? But they had already removed the shoelaces from my shoe, and again, all I'm wearing is sneakers and a pair of shorts. So, and I'm pretty. I mean, I was
gonna say that just spelled bitch to me.
I'm just fucking handsome, and so they bring lunch, and lunch is like a bologna sandwich.
Oh, they brought lunch, all right.
And so the big dude that I'm in there with says, "Hey, you going to eat that sandwich?" No, not at all. I'm not hungry. In fact, I'm a vegetarian. So I gave him the sandwich. Well, long story short, they mom and dad show up. They bail me out. It had to do with a ticket I had received almost a year prior to that for having an exhaust system on my car that was too loud.
I remember that.
So Anyway, now here comes the fitting end to the Ducksters. I wish I had some sort of sad music to play for you.
Wah, wah, wah.
Carolyn and I lived in an apartment complex called Diamond Terrace. Diamond Terrace was at the time an all-adult community. Mom and Dad were going through some problems, and I knew I had to get the Ducksters out of the house. So I went and bought some heavy chain, a couple of big giant locks, and we hauled them over to the complex where we had carports, and I locked them up. One morning, while going out to the little Ford Escort so I can go to work, I was working at KRDO. I get in the car and I realize, well, something just doesn't look right here. And I get to looking and I realize the two heavy chains and the two locks are on the ground, but the Ducksters are gone.
Dun, dun, dun.
So what had happened after we reported them, somebody had rolled through the apartment complex in a U-Haul truck and stole a bunch of stuff that night. So yeah, the fitting end, this is probably why we're still alive, is because God sent somebody to steal.
That's what I told Mark. I'm like, dude, there was a reason behind that. The reason those things got stolen, man.
God
That shit
sent
saved your
somebody
life.
to steal the Ducksters. That's how much He loves me. So
Mike is a
I
legit
really
criminal.
think it really broke Steve's heart. Look, we had we financed those things, so and back then that was a shitload of money to us, and
Yeah.
so and it was hard to report to an insurance company because they're at the time nobody knew how to insure the things.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a motorcycle, it wasn't a car, there was no such thing as
ATV.
recreational vehicle. So and I guess possible death trap just wasn't an option either.
Death trap was taken.
Yeah, probably. Thank you, Ford Pinto.
Oh shit!
So anyway, yeah, the little rascals, they were stolen from us. And
you see what Rich said there, Mike? Mike
yeah,
was a legit
Mike is a
criminal.
legit- Oh, you don't know the half of it, Rich. Wait till
Yeah.
wait till I share some of the other really bad stuff I've done. In
They
my
call
life.
me Tater Salad.
Well, I'll tease one for you. One morning, I think it was Oler and I were walking to school. We were going to Doherty, and we stopped by one of our crime scenes and literally asked questions.
The scene of the crime.
Because-
What happened?
Oh, there were about 5 or 6 police cars and a lot of very upset people because we thought what we did was funny, and it turns out it was quite criminal what we did. And I'll share that with you.
Yeah.
It's too
On our
late to
next
go into it now.
episode,
Yeah, well,
why
I'll
Mike
share
is
that
not
with you.
in prison.
It says, look, Carolyn wrote, because God knew you were about to be a daddy and he knew I needed you. Yeah, and that's how come we had to move out of Diamond Terrace, because somehow Carolyn got pregnant.
Damn it! I'd find that guy if I were you.
Well, I blame the stork. Everything is always
Yeah,
the stork.
okay.
So anyway,
So look,
there you
everybody, went a little longer than normal, but hey, good conversation. Thanks for everybody that joined in. Again, hopefully you guys enjoyed what we're talking about and brings back some stuff for you guys, and tell your friends, and post on here, man. Shoot us some stuff of things that you'd like to
Absolutely.
talk about that that maybe we don't even recall, but once you tell us about it, it might stir some things up, and join in, man. This is for all of us. This isn't just for us.
Absolutely. And even afterwards, if you happen to watch this now and you're watching it in replay, still leave the message, because we check them.
Yeah.
We'll still see them.
Amen.
Appreciate it. All right, little brother, love you.
Love you too.
And until next week, same time, same place.
We'll see you there.
All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.